Hey everybody, Kai here. Before we get started, I had to put a little bit of an addendum in here. So this episode was recorded on Wednesday night, very late in the evening, and we actually get into a little bit of discussion about Billy Mitchell in the episode itself. Now on Thursday morning, a lot of you already know, the news broke that Billy Mitchell's records were being removed from Twin Galaxies. And that kind of changed a lot of the stuff that we were discussing. So it was far too late to actually re-record the episode, and the episode was really good anyway. So what we're going to do is add a special episode early next week, just very short episode, just focusing on the developments in the Billy Mitchell matter. But none of that is going to actually affect your enjoyment of this episode. So hang tight and we're going to get started.
Live from Kakariko Village. Broadcast throughout the Retroverse, transmitted to the real world via a maze of wires connecting a Super Nintendo to a Wii, to a Wi-Fi network, and finally to the Internet. The Techno Funk Boy presents the Retro Zoo Super Show. Now here are your hosts, Kai and Steven.
Welcome to the Retro Zoo Super Show. Really appreciate you joining us this week. So, Steven?
Yeah.
Were you talking to yourself?
What?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Were you talking to yourself?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, all right. So I'm one of your hosts, Kai. I am literally here by myself, and you were trying to explain to me why you decided that it would be okay to do the radio broadcast from your car.
Well, here's the thing. Last time we did this, it was really liberating. I mean, I was stuck in traffic. This time traffic's moving a lot better. And I've gotten into the habit of driving around when I want to think or when I want to.
Well, okay, but
yeah.
All right, and for those of y'all who didn't join us last week, Steven was caught in traffic during the time of the broadcast, and so he joined us over the phone to explain that he couldn't be there. But this time, it's not by accident. This is purely intentional.
Yeah, no, I woke up this morning, was getting ready to head over to the studio, and then I just figured, you know what? I'm just going to keep driving, and I drove right past it. And so now I'm in these hills. Well, not really hills, but there's like trees, and there's a little path, and I'm on the path. And I'm making a lot of 90-degree turns, 90-degre angle turns, and it's been wonderful. How are you?
Is there something specific about the 90 degrees that I'm missing?
Well, I don't know, just a lot of right turns and left turns, and very pixelated, large, chubby pixels.
Yeah, Kakariko Village is kind of laid out in, squares.
Yeah. So I'm actually passing a square. There, just passed it. Hey, so Drum, how you doing, Drum?
A Drum is not here. I'm literally by myself.
Whoa, wait. that changes things, man. I might have actually come to the studio had I known you were going to be alone.
Well, this is a radio show. We can't have you just in the background the whole time.
Hey, a disembodied voice is a voice, nonetheless.
But it sounds terrible.
Well, I've
all
got
the static and
this time I didn't want to use the headset, so I've actually got the Bluetooth.
Please
going on.
Please tell me you're not doing Bluetooth.
Hey, it's all the rage.
Well,
all the kids are Bluetoothing these days.
I'm not even sure that's true, but even if it were, that is not helping the sound quality.
Well, it's very cozy because my ears aren't full of plastic.
Great. Well, as long as you're comfortable, I think that's probably for the best.
I'm feeling very relaxed, actually.
Good. That's good.
How are you feeling?
Oh, well, I'm a little stressed.
Are you a little lonely?
Yes.
Look, I'm gonna wrap my disembodied arms around you.
That's not a thing.
Well, I'm gonna comfort you with my words.
Oh my goodness.
Like silk.
Okay. Well, thank you again for those of you joining us. We do for those of you who we had quite a few people, find us for the first time last week. With that, last week's episode was very exciting for us. It was the first time we got to speak directly with people involved in the creation of a game, and that was a lot of fun. And we've been actually playing the Realm Online a little bit, and that's actually where Drum is. I can't get him off the stupid computer game.
Dude.
He has a character.
You should never have let him start that. That seems exactly like something Drum would totally crack out
I know,
on.
and I didn't even think about that. He was kind of looking over my shoulder while I was playing the character Tangel. We moved over to the Legacy server, and so we're just checking things out there. I got to tell you, I got hooked pretty good, and it was just as fun as I remember. It was an absolute blast, and I have to tell you. So we discussed a little bit last week how big this thing is, and I think
I said tens.
You said tens. I have to tell you, we have had such an incredible response, and the Realm Online, the community around the Realm Online is, exceptionally dedicated and exceptionally passionate and loyal, and it is much bigger than I thought it was. And being kind of in the game, in the groups, has been an absolute blast. But yeah, Drum was looking over my shoulder as I'm playing, and obviously wanted to to take a swing at it. And so I let him create a character, and he picked a giant. He named it Drum. Actually, technically, he named it Drum the Drum.
Drum the Drum.
And so, if you are on the Legacy server, and you run across a giant warrior named Drum the Drum, that is Drum. So please do say hi. He's kind of about 15 levels into it. He's doing quite well. As a point of reference, because Steven, I know you haven't played this game yet. You could get up to level 1,000.
Yeah, so, I was listening to when we were interviewing the guy last time.
Right.
The very knowledgeable developer. Man, he said that, and that kind of blew my mind. I mean, I remember playing Diablo and Diablo 2 or something, and it was 99. It was the highest level, and I kind of thought that was ridiculous. But now that actually seems normal, or even it just doesn't seem adequate compared to the fact that you can get to level 1,000 I just like saying 1,000.
I know. Well, and what's really funny is I said in the last several episodes on the Realm Online that I found my old website, and I did post it. My old guild website from 1997. I found a bunch of screenshots from the game too, which has been a lot of fun. But I also actually found my comments on when they were announcing their plans for what I'm thinking was version 3.x. And
right.
and that's when, because when I was playing, the level cap was 100, and I did not ever reach 100. If I remember right, I think I was in the low 80s maybe, so I was pretty far up there. But it was just, once you got to that point, it was exceptionally hard to get farther up because the game was so much smaller than it is now, and there weren't any enemies that were that strong, and so you were not getting very much experience per kill.
Right.
And so it just took a very long time, and it would take a much shorter time now to make it to level 100 than it did back then. But yeah,
it's kind of like an inflation of leveling.
Well, kind of, yeah. I mean, and I don't even think really intentionally, because the way the leveling system is set up is you got to, no matter what level you are, you got to get 10,000 experience points to get to the next level. But the amount of experience you get per enemy scales based on your relative levels or hit points or something. I'm not sure on the equation on that. But like if you're fighting something that's stronger than you, then you're going to get more experience. But that exact same enemy much later in the game might only give you 100 experience instead of 1,000. And
right.
so back then, when there were no level 80 enemies, like everything was giving you 100 experience by the time you're level 80. And so, you had to fight 100 enemies to level up, or however that worked. It's fuzzy. I don't know exactly. Whereas now, there are level 80 enemies, and so you can find them and fight them and get 1,000 experience. And of course, we're breaking up these numbers. But, you see how there's a big difference between fighting 100 enemies and fighting 10 enemies. And so, that's the kind of thing. It's a much bigger game. But I found my writings on, because this was something I put out at the time when they were announcing the changes that were coming, and I did not like them. I was
a naysayer.
I was a total. In fact, I was kind of a jerk about it, and I was like, I'm sitting here reading. I'm like, okay, I will put up my old website. This I'm not putting up. And I hope that the developers at the time, and of course Sierra owned it at the time. It's no owner or developer now was around then. But I'm hoping that they didn't never read
owners or
it.
developers around now enjoyed possibly what Sierra did then, and so you should still be walking on, treading carefully, because some people that might be listening to the show might have thought that was the best thing ever.
Well, and
you might be a total pooper.
Yeah, and I'm sitting on the other side of it now, and sitting here going, well, this really wasn't that bad at all. Right.
I
mean, it was me being a jerk 18-year-old. And
change is scary. 18,
yeah.
you're in the height of puberty, or the end stages of puberty. It's like things are difficult. Struggling.
Elves have a different puberty schedule than most people, but whatever.
Well, I'm a human, so I wouldn't know, but
yes.
I've never dated an elf.
Well, right.
Got awkward.
Yeah, yeah.
So anyway, but
for those who are joining us, since Steven.
Yeah, I'm a human. Kai's an elf. What?
But no, that's not what I was talking about. It's like we have a bunch of new listeners, and they don't know the awkwardness that I don't even want to bring up again, because it was so awkward when I'm sitting here telling you about my new fiance, and you are saying that she should dump me and go out with you. To me.
Why? Okay,
Your
why
best
did
friend.
you? Okay, I see. I think you're deflecting what I just said as awkward back to something You're trying to make the situation awkward squared.
I'm not trying to make it more awkward. I was having fun talking about the realm.
You just successfully made it awkward squared. The square root of awkward is now.
Wait, that's different. Square root and squared are different things. They're like the exact opposite thing.
I'm just saying if we took... Okay, I don't know math well. So, it worked in my brain. But I just want to say, look. Let's drift away from the awkward moment, and let's get back to the now. And I want to say, man, before we get too much further off from you saying you had a website dedicated to a game, and I'm not going to harp on StarCraft because I know it like makes you like insane, but I actually in StarCraft, the original StarCraft, which is it's the 90s, right? So in the 90s, I'm playing StarCraft. You're probably playing the Realm. You know, you're however many years older than me, whatever. But dude, I made a website for my clan because in StarCraft we called them clans, and I had a homestead website, and I put up like pictures of like we were the Ronin. And so we had like, it was this Japanese theme, and everybody that joined the clan had to have a Japanese name. And you put it was like, my name was, open parentheses, R, close parentheses, so the R stood for Ronin, and then Sanjuro. It had to be one of like a Japanese style name, so like there was like Sanjuro, I think my cousin.
Nice, that's a good one.
Yeah, because I loved the movie Sanjuro. And then my best friend at the time was Mishima, and then like there was Hiraku, and like we had this whole clan of like Ronin, and like we would go out there and recruit people, and like I had this website up, and I had like we had little tournaments, and man, and dude, and so when you were talking about like bringing up your old webpage, man, I haven't done it yet, but like those are the days, dude, like when you made a web page because you were into something, man. And that, like, it just totally inspired me. And I hope our listeners, too. It's like, go back and try to find, and maybe we could do that, like, have listeners submit, like, their old school web pages.
Their old web pages?
When they were, yeah, like when they were, like, or just, like, links to, like, this is when I was into this game or that game.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
I was so into it that I, like... You know, whatever, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, like I was sitting there at the early ages of the internet, like programming or whatever, making a little web page for all my my cohorts to congregate on or whatever, submit their whatever we'd submitted. But nah, dude, man, groups, guilds, clans, whatever they were, man, that was like. Dude, that was so awesome, dude, and I really missed that.
So did you get to the point where you were editing the HTML code in Notepad?
I don't think I ever did that because I think I came later than you, and
okay.
I think at that point it was all like Homestead was what I used. Now I did join a clan, so the only time I ever had like a web page interface was with StarCraft when I made the web page, and I might have done some HTML on that. I don't think so though. I think it was all click and drag. But then I also was in a clan. I played MechWarrior 3 online, and I was in a clan called Rolling Thunder. And dude, I remember I quit that clan for some stupid. I don't remember why I quit it, but like I cried because I was so sad because I had other responsibilities. This clan was so cool. They like showed me how to build like a mech, and we'd play online together, and like they called them sparklers, and they like you just get like a shadow cat, like a light mech, and you would outfit it with all like light lasers, and then you could link fire them, and so you could just like run around the big mechs and like link fire and just like pop off their arms and their legs. It was like, man. And when I quit that clan, dude, it was so emotional because I was so vested in it, and these people had taught me all about MechWarrior. Anyway, I'm totally getting off on a tangent, but just I guess the whole idea, your whole experience with the realm and being part of a community, and back in the early days when there really wasn't, now there's like the interfaces that exist now, and just technology now, and how social media is now. It's like there's really no need for a website dedicated to your clan, right? I mean, but
well, yeah, cool and I don't think we would. I don't think we would do one. Like if for some reason I were persuaded in the Realm Online to restart my guild, and I'm not doing that. I am not.
I think you just hinted. I think you just asked every Realm Online listener to bombard you with requests to restart your guild.
No, I did not do that at all. But like, no, we wouldn't do that. I mean, that would not be doing another website. It would not be a thing. You might do a website to do, just to do tutorials and references and stuff. And I'm finding a lot of really good stuff on online. That's helping me with the Realm Online. But yeah, as far as like getting that group together, you can make a private Facebook group. You can make a private Discord channel, and just have your team in there. There's so many resources that, yeah, I mean, but back then it's like, we were communicating through these websites and group emails. Back in the Stone Ages, when we...
Dude, that was so awesome, though. It was so, because somebody had to put in a ton of effort.
Oh, goodness. Yeah.
And invest a ton of time to, update the web page and stuff. And
yeah. And that was...
Put the rosters up and everything.
Right. And that was totally me. Because, I had started junior college. It was in the first year, I should say. I was not taking it seriously. I was breezing through the classes. I did not really need to study. And, yeah, it's like, and I had friends and family complain that they could not get me on the phone because, of course, we didn't have cell phones then. And we didn't have DSL.
They couldn't get you on the landline.
Right. They couldn't get me on the landline because I was using the dial-up modem on the Realm all the time, or updating the website, and that's
getting a busy signal.
Yeah, and I was dumping tons of time into website and stuff, and just. And I mean, and like, we have the Techno Funk Boy website today, but it didn't take me a fraction of that same time because Techno Funk Boy website, technofunkboy.com, for those of you who are interested, it's really just kind of, click and drag and, okay, put this picture here and I'm going to type some text, clickety, clickety, clickety. But, back then it was getting into Notepad and, trying to size it, just using the text and picturing it in your mind and then loading it up and seeing how it came out. And so, yeah, it was very time consuming, but it was a blast, and I had a blast on the Realm Online then, and I'm having a blast in a different way today, in a way that does not involve websites or guilds. Just not those things.
Okay, I have another question for you. So the developer, what was his name again? Sam. He mentioned, and this kind of blew my mind, dude, and I didn't say anything because I had to ponder what he said. He made it sound like they're considering like an Unreal Engine for like actually updating the graphics and updating the interface for the Realm Online. So tell me about that. Like, at least if you haven't done any more research on it, I understand because he didn't really say a lot. But what would that do? Since the game it seems like it's so. I mean,
I don't know.
I mean, it sounded awesome. Like when he said that, I was like, "Holy cow! This guy has a vision."
Yeah.
He doesn't just want to like get in the realm and like get it back online. He doesn't want to necessarily keep it as this relic from the past, which in a way, I guess as a retro gamer, you kind of like want to be like, come on, man, this is like from the past. You can't change it. But this guy actually wants to bring it more current, like make it more accessible to, and I think he mentioned like his desire to have, bring in new people. And so I wanted to get your thoughts on the ideas of at least like bringing the realm into a realm of today. Like how do we get this on Steam? Like what would it look like for like, say, your average teenager who's downloading stuff on Steam and seeing Steam sales, the summer Steam sales. Like what would it take for them to see? I mean, if they saw an Unreal Engine, like what would the game be like with an Unreal Engine? Basically, like is it gonna? I mean, that just seems like it would change the game entirely.
Yeah, and I didn't ask, and I very purposefully didn't ask him about that far into the future because I wanted to deal with the stuff that's coming up June 1st, and we didn't have that ton of time, and the communication is still going. Is going to be going on for the foreseeable future, and so but I know they're playing with a lot of ideas, and one of the ideas that I think is going to be pretty neat is getting it on mobile, and how that is going to interact with like an Unreal Engine setting. I don't know. The way it is now, I know that it would be perfect for mobile.
No, dude, you could totally do it. You could totally do it with an Unreal Engine.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many possibilities, but one of the cool things that so far they're doing is that they're keeping the retro aspect of it, while trying to stay true to the original vision, and also push things forward, with two separate servers, and so the new server's not up yet, but the new server is going to be the one that they're pushing forward and updating. The big update is something they're talking about, well into the future. We're talking like 18 months. And so, I want to get, once we get closer to that, I'm hoping that we have another episode on it. That would be really cool.
Yeah, maybe we could change the name of the show at that point by the Retro Zoo Super Show Realm Online.
Right. Yes. Well, with considering the number of downloads we had last week, I'm kind of up for that.
Hey, it's pretty catchy, right? The Retro Zoo Super Show Realm Online.
Yes, you're actually going to have to play the game if we do that.
Dude, hey, I'm getting my internet tomorrow, dude.
You're getting what?
I'm getting the internet tomorrow. Xfinity's coming to my house tomorrow.
Oh, fancy.
So I'm gonna get the internet tomorrow.
Nice. So
and then I'll be able to have the fancy headset, and we'll be able to talk like professionals.
Nice, very
instead
nice.
of me driving around in my dad's car. I'm in my dad's car, okay, everybody? I don't have Bluetooth enabled in my actual car because it's a piece of junk. But my dad's car has Bluetooth. That's actually why I'm sacrificing everybody's audio quality.
Because you just want to cruise? Is this what's going on? You just want to go cruising?
Fancy. I'm in my dad's car. I'm using his gas. It's a nice new car. I can't afford nice new cars, so.
Oh gosh.
I'm basically mooching for my dad. He's out of town.
Oh my goodness. Oh goodness. Okay, we have a couple of things we need to hit today. So,
okay.
All right. So, first of all, cool getting internet. We can jump on the Realm. You, me, and Drum.
Dude, I'm getting a Twitch account as soon as I get my internet going.
Nice. Well, and I should and that would be actually a good place to mention kind of how y'all can support us. And
yeah.
And one of the things is, all right, my Twitch account is already up. It's Techno Funk Boy. A couple of you have contacted me through Twitch that you found us because of the Realm Online stuff. I have been actually streaming the Realm Online. Do give us a follow on that. We do have a Patreon up. And so what is it? Patreon?
It's Patron.
Patreon.com. Please don't put patron.com/technofuckboy. I don't know where that goes. But patreon.com/technofunkboy. We are working up some bonuses for that. You need to stay tuned to this very series. We're going to start talking about Dragon Warrior today, and this is going to be ongoing for several weeks. You need to stay tuned to this series. We are giving away fun, free stuff. So
double fun, free stuff. Double fun, free stuff.
Yes. But if you can't support us on Patreon, we totally understand. I freeload on a lot of podcasts that I'm not supporting too. And so, we're all in the same boat. It's cool.
Maybe you should rethink that.
Well, I should, yes. But what you can do to help us is to share this. Please, please go on Facebook. Tell your friends about us. Your friends probably are into some retro gaming like you are. They probably have a similar sense of humor. They probably like similar things. And if they don't like any of those things, I question your taste in friends. And maybe you should rethink them. Maybe these are just people that you grew up with that you've never been able to just kind of finally give the boot to in your life, and that they're drag on your existence.
Yeah, bigger, better friends.
I'm gonna feel really bad if one person is out there going, "That's right, my friends are horrible. I have no real friends." No, I'm just joking. But,
no. But we're your friends. That's
yes. We're like your friends who will email you 5 days after your email, and we're not going to give you our phone number.
No. We're small enough to where at this point, if you leave your friends for us, we'll actually be your friends.
Yeah.
Because
to be
we
fair,
love fan mail.
Yeah, to be fair, we're so small that I barely check our email every 5 days.
That's why you should change that, listener.
Yes.
Send us an email.
Send us an email.
Tell us what you think.
Which is actually very easy. It's technofuckboy@gmail.com. So we started the story several months ago in general about twin galaxies, which
controversy.
Yes. So to kind of catch you up, Twin Galaxy, the gaming world is split into several different organizations. Steven really kind of mostly leans toward the esports side, which is very organized. It's very kind of ESPN-y. It's, brackets and leagues, and it's very, very cool.
Did you just say ESPN-y?
Yes. Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
No, I like that.
Okay.
I like it. No, I
yes. I'm very much into speed gaming, which is very, very grassroots, community driven. We do have some major events, but they're all self-run, and so it's for each game the community makes its own rules and stuff. But for the high score group, which are mostly the arcade group, before games had a plot and an ending. The way you proved how good you were at gaming was high scores. And typically, historically, this organization called Twin Galaxies has been the keepers of the cool when it came to the high scores screams. And if you are at all familiar with documentaries like, what was it? King of Kong,
King of Kong, a fistful of quarters.
Yeah, that's then Twin Galaxies. This is stuff that they're all over. You probably know people like Billy Mitchell, who appears in these movies as one of the
larger than life.
Yeah, he was,
super
I mean,
gamer.
really like one of the very, very, very first gaming superstars, if not the very first. So we did the story a few months ago about Todd Rogers, getting booted from the Twin Galaxies, leaderboards. I have been generally hopeful that Twin Galaxies under new ownership will kind of clean up its reputation and clean up its act, that they've been very susceptible to corruption in the past. And so
Well, it's like the dark side, right?
yeah.
It's easy, and there's lots of power there.
Right.
They're the,
Yeah.
they're the only ones that are holding the records. It's like it's so easy to use it for evil.
Right. Well, yeah.
And-
yeah.
But you know,
and they're all, they're all in, I mean, I was about to say in the league together, but these guys are all friends. I mean, they're, the people who are involved in this stuff, they all hung out together. They all hang out together. Todd Rogers was a ref for Twin Galaxies. The people who are good at video games typically also judge video games. It's just the way it was. But
yeah, and Darth Vader was Luke's father, but Luke was able to eventually get him back to the light side.
yes, well, and that's what we're hoping for Twin Galaxies. We need someone like Twin Galaxies. We need some group that is keeping track of these things, because it is important. These records are important. But it needs to be a group with honesty, integrity. And so Billy Mitchell's records with Donkey Kong have been called into question. I am not an expert in emulation, and so I'm going to report what I've seen. The charge is that his record was played on an emulator, and that was not reported. And an emulator is not necessarily banned, but it can be manipulated, and so it has an additional level of scrutiny, or should at least. It should at least. And that's true in speedrunning too. I play on emulators a lot when I'm streaming, but it's going to be looked at a little bit harder than a console. Anyways, so a YouTuber, a young man named Apollo Legend, put together a video about this controversy, and it was a good video. I know there's a lot of people who love Apollo and who hate him. The people who hate him typically say that he's just taking research done by other people and putting it together, and I totally agree with you. But we also need somebody to do that, and Apollo Legends videos are typically well done. We have shared his videos in the past. So he did one on Billy Mitchell. So what happened recently is Apollo Legends shows up at an arcade event, cosplaying as Billy Mitchell. The guy, yeah, I mean, and there's a certain level of just, I mean, yeah, it's just a certain level of swag that's involved in that, and that's cool. And actually the organizers and Billy Mitchell was there. They both had a good laugh at it. And there's a picture that went out of Bill with Apollo in cosplay, and they're both smiling, and they had a good laugh at it. And they talked a lot. Apollo Legend was interested in being shown, Billy Mitchell's setup, how he does what he does in that, and it seemed like a really good thing. So that has gone from, the event organizers publicly thanking Apollo Legend for showing up and how cool it was and how hilarious his outfit was, to Billy Mitchell's attorneys calling him. And
are you serious?
Yeah, and what the deal was, it looks like at this point, it looks like Apollo Legend was secretly filming the event kind of, undercover reporter type to try to get some additional proof, that Billy Mitchell was cheating. And that, I'm no expert on Florida law, but that might actually be illegal. And so,
well, if Billy Mitchell is getting attorneys to look at that, then he probably did cheat.
well, yeah, I mean,
It's
look,
like
look,
the guilty flee when no one pursues, or I guess when they pursue, they doubly flee.
I don't know that's how the verse goes exactly, but you were close.
Was I
No.
close? As long as I was like in the ballpark.
But look, I mean, I'm not a fan of Billy Mitchell.
What?
I'm not a fan of Billy Mitchell.
I just wanted you to say it again.
Yeah, no, he's
I love his stash.
he's kind of I mean, look, I mean, if I had hair like his, I would probably be as cocky and jerky as he is, because it's magnificent.
It is magnificent.
It's just beautiful. It's
That's
just
the
great.
least you can say about that guy.
Yeah, I mean, fantastic whole beard and marvelous hair. It's just fantastic.
Marvelous mullet.
Yeah. But he is, everything I've seen him in, he's just an absolute jerk. It might just be, kind of his stage thing, but I've heard that in real life too.
Have you seen Snake?
Yes, that movie. By the way, what's the actual title of that movie? That movie is fantastic.
I forgot the actual name, but he's a lot different than in the Donkey Kong documentary. He comes off as way more of a jerk, but in the Snake documentary, he's like way more. And I think that says something about the editing and the producers or whoever. But he comes off a lot.
He does. That's fair. And that's a good point. He's actually, he comes across as very supportive in that movie. And it's Man versus Snake. If you haven't seen that documentary, it's actually really, really excellent. He does come across as very supportive in that documentary. And so that's a good point to note.
So two Billy Mitchell documentaries, or documentaries that he appears in, is The King of Kong, Fistful of Quarters, and Man versus Snake. And so, encourage our listeners to take a look at both of those before you judge Billy Mitchell on his own.
And I've seen plenty of interviews with him too. He just has that persona of, that he's, and this is kind of the attitude that was really encouraged in the high score community. The speedrun community has a very, very, team environment, very supportive of one another. That
everybody's a winner.
We're not very clingy to world records. We're very happy when they're broken, because that just means there's more attention brought to all of us. I say us as though I've gotten a world record yet, but
no, but you're part of the community, so
but
it's very social.
Yeah, the old high score, the whole high score environment is not that way at all. It's not. And so that, Billy Mitchell is very reflective in his interviews of that whole environment. And so, I don't want to go on record to say that I know his heart and that he's really like that, or if that's just a persona that he comes across as. I also, not being an expert at all about emulation, in particular the MAME emulator that they're using in this. I've never used it. I don't have the foggiest clue. And so I can only go by what I've seen in people researching it and trust that their research is good. And so, end of the day, I have no idea if he cheated on that or not.
Maybe we should have him on, dude. Maybe we should put Billy Mitchell in the tagline of this episode, and let's try to find Billy Mitchell and let's talk to him.
Can I ask?
Because you know what?
Can I ask him about what conditioner he uses?
I would love to know that, dude. Actually, I would love to know what made him just decide to have a persona that was embodied in his hair. I mean, dude, the guy is majestic. I mean, he's like a lion in the sun on a savanna day, like in deepest, most beautiful Africa. I don't know, dude. This guy, he's got a persona, and like, he would be cool to have him. He would be cool to have on the show. And you know what? It's like, we've been talking about him. You know, we're not talking about him behind his back because he can listen to this episode. Like, we haven't said anything bad about him. We've had people say things. You know, there's some reputation stuff being called into question, but at some point, you know, maybe many episodes down the line, we should at least leave an opening for Billy Mitchell to appear and at least kind of maybe just say a piece of his mind and maybe set the record straight for our listeners.
Yeah, that'd be very cool. Very cool. So, well, with that, let's jump to our break, which is very late at this point, and we're going to let me tell you a little bit of what we're doing. Today, we're going to do an overview of Dragon Warrior, and we're going to spend the next mini episodes tackling Dragon Warrior from several different vantage points, and they're all going to be worthwhile. And I can't go into what we have planned because, you know, there's still some stuff we need to confirm. But this is going to be somewhere between 3 and 5 episodes. And every one of them is going to be just a ton of fun. And so before that, though, we need to talk about what Dragon Warrior is. And so we're going to tackle that pretty briefly today. To just kind of give you the history of the game and why it's important. And we will do that after the break. Hey Drum, did you know that the Techno Funk Boy isn't just a group of podcast hosts that live inside a Super Nintendo?
Really?
That's right, we're also a band.
Tell me more.
We're a retro gaming inspired band that plays covers of classic video game themes, original game music, and other music in the style of classic games.
That sounds great.
Yeah, and you can find our first full-length album on iTunes, Amazon, and CD Baby. It's called the Final Fantasy Mixes, and it's an EDM tribute to some of Uematsu's best musical themes. Check the episode notes for links or go to Techno Funk Boy to learn more.
Techno Funk Boy sounds like the greatest band that has ever existed.
I programmed him to say that.
We're back.
Okay, we are back, and we got to listen to a little bit of music from Dragon Warrior. You know, the everything about this game looks and feels and sounds very early, and early in the NES cycle, and there's a reason for that. It's because it's very early in the NES cycle.
Yeah.
Oh, but So, Steven, have you ever... I know you've seen the game, but have you ever actually played Dragon Warrior?
No, actually, I've never played Dragon Warrior, and I'm feeling very left out right at the moment.
Well, you know, not a ton of people did, and it's really weird because in Japan, Dragon Warrior is much more popular than Final Fantasy. You know, Final Fantasy is not the biggest series ever like it is here. But Dragon Warrior really is. And so there's been a lot of Dragon Warrior games, and I keep saying Dragon Warrior, and I know a lot of you are screaming at your radio, Dragon Quest. We're going to get to that. But you know, a lot of these games in the series we never got. And I think that the reason Dragon Warrior got as much traction as it did is because it was free for so many people. But let me just give, we're going to give a little bit of history of the game. And when I say that there was nothing before it quite like it, I really mean that. Dragon Quest, which is what it's called in Japan, is largely considered the first Japanese role-playing game. We talked about the particularities of JRPGs a few episodes ago. But basically, there's this game designer, Yuji Horii, and he designed adventure games, like, point-and-click adventure games like King's Quest and stuff. But he really, really loved these role-playing games that were on the Apple II, like the original Ultima game and Wizardry. He just absolutely adored these games. And he wanted to bring it to the console, but what he believed was that these games were they were too complicated and too niche for kind of the mass audience. And so, Ultima and Wizardry, they had these really intense followings, but they were followings amongst us nerds. I'll put us in there. I'm okay with being in there. I don't know about you, Steve, but
no, I'm down with being a nerd.
Yeah, and so people who are really into Dungeons and Dragons and stuff, and what Yuji Horii was thinking was, okay, these are really awesome, but it's just they're way too deep for just anybody on the street to pick it up and really enjoy it. And so what he was trying to do was boil down everything into something very simplistic, very easy to learn, very, very exciting and fun. And what it
sounds like he was trying to appeal to Americans.
Well, what's kind of funny is that it didn't actually get to America for some time, and it was actually changed a bit, and Nintendo Power had to really push it. But that's interesting. But what's really weird is the Japanese loved it and Americans didn't.
What?
And the Japanese just fell in love with this game, and it started an entire genre of games. And when Final Fantasy came out, it was intentionally cloning Dragon Quest. And you can see, you can actually pinpoint the influences in there. When this game came out, just a ton of clones followed it, and everybody was trying to be Dragon Quest. And it was remarkably simple. It was not a party of 6. It was not a party of 4 people. It was a party of 1. And there wasn't like a whole list of attack spells, of all these different things that you could do, all these elemental spells and magic missiles and fiery orbs and stuff like that. There were 2 attack spells, Hurt and Hurtmore. The spell list was very short. Everything that you could learn was very useful. The plot was remarkably simple, and in fact, the plot was actually more complicated. The stuff that you had to do, most of us did way more than we had to in the game because we thought we had to. And in particular, I'm talking about saving the princess, because when you start off, you are the descendant of Erdrick, who was kind of the original guy who fought against the Dragon Lord. But the Dragon Lord has reappeared, and as Erdrick's descendant, you have to now rise up to go save it. And so the king calls you in, and the king's daughter has been kidnapped by the Dragon Lord, and he wants you to go defeat the Dragon Lord. And you believe, because this is how fairy tales go, that you need to save the princess in the course of this game, right? You do not. You do not have to save her at all. And you could totally win the game without saving her. But she is there to be saved if you'd like to. And so the plot is very simple. You have to gather You have to gather proof that you are who you say you are. You have to gather equipment, and you have to gather these items that you combine to make a bridge to cross into the Dragon Lord's Keep. It's an open world, which a lot of JRPGs kind of abandoned for a long time after this because they were just so hard to set up. But it's an open world. You can go anywhere you can survive, and just walk around the entire world if you want to. There's nothing stopping you except your own strength. It's this very straightforward, simple game that you can dump time into. There's a very heavy level grinding aspect to it, a remarkably heavy level grinding aspect to it. If you do get the game, and by the way, this game's on mobile for very, very cheap right now. Every time I look at it, it's just a few bucks. And they have fixed the level grinding, because if you play the original, you level grind for hours and hours and hours, and they fixed that. And you can actually beat the mobile game even casually in about 6 hours. And so it's a very short game. It's very fun, and it started this trend of you fight enemies until you get to the new town, then you learn from the new town, and that gives you clues as to where to go, what you need to do, how you need to accomplish it, where this armor might be, or where this special item might be, or this or that. And then you have to grind to make sure you're strong enough to do that and to go. And so it's an absolutely remarkable game. When they brought it to America, they changed the title from Dragon Quest to Dragon Warrior. And that is because there was a tabletop game system published by TSR, which is now Wizards of the Coast, who is the Dungeons & Dragons publisher. They had a tabletop set called Dragon Quest. And Enix, the publisher Enix, who's now been combined with Square, now Square Enix, but Enix at the time did not want to draw TSR's ire, despite the fact that Japanese role-playing games were constantly stealing ideas from Dungeons and Dragons directly, and
yeah.
But they didn't want to draw TSR's ire, so they changed it to Dragon Warrior.
Clever.
Right, and there were a ton of copies distributed in America, and almost none of them were actually purchased, because Nintendo was the one who distributed it in America, not Enix. And Nintendo decided they really wanted to push this genre, because they were going to come out with Final Fantasy pretty soon. And they wanted people getting into JRPGs so that they could sell more of them. And so they just gave it to people.
Right.
If you subscribed to Nintendo Power, there was a pretty good chance you just got a free copy of this game. And so it's a game that everybody had and almost no one purchased. And Enix got very excited about that and rushed to bring Dragon Quest II to America, and it didn't do that well, and neither did 3 or neither did 4, even though they're all great games, because it did not really catch the Americans' imagination, where Final Fantasy actually eventually would. And so it's kind of interesting, and as a JRPG fan, it's like I kind of wish that more people would get into it, but at the same time, it's like this series has just created a whole series of absolute classic video games that are very, very, very important. And even if a million people over here did not buy them, they're still very worthwhile and very good. And like I said, I mean they're mostly available on mobile now. And they're very good ports. I played through Dragon Quest 1, and I'm playing through Dragon Quest 2. They're very good ports. They're very easy to play, and not very expensive at all. It's kind of weird since Square Enix owns them now. If you go to the Final Fantasy games, all the Final Fantasy games are very expensive, but
really?
On mobile. But these are very good, very very reasonably priced. I did not know this until many, many years later. But because the art on the American versions was so much different than the art on the Japanese version. But the designer, the character designer, was Akira Toriyama, who is best known to Americans for Dragon Ball Z. He's the artist and writer of Dragon Ball Z. And we did not know until Chrono Trigger that he also did character design for video games. And we figured it out with Chrono Trigger in the Super Nintendo era because they kept the Japanese style artwork, and we could see it's like, oh, that's Toriyama. I mean, that looks like Dragon Ball Z. But if you get the original Japanese artwork for the Dragon Quest games, they're very, very clearly. I mean, Toriyama has a very distinct style. You know, if you read or watch Dragon Ball Z, there's no mistaking that artist with anyone else.
Yeah.
And it's the same. It's the same way with these games. You know that once you see his design, you know, and you look at the 8-bit characters that came out of it, you're like, oh, I see what he's going for there. But without that reference, I mean, the cover to Dragon Warrior from the US is really, really epic. It's, you know, you're looking at this warrior from behind, and he's leaping from platform to platform with his shield up and his sword ready to strike. And the dragon is kind of, it got this massively long neck, and it's twisting around to attack him. And it's really epic and cool. But there, you know, there's no way to realize that Toriyama had anything to do with this, but he did, and he's been part of this series from day one and continues to do so. And it's kind of cool, like, you know, later in life, now that I know that how involved he is in game design, to go back and look at like all the Dragon Quest stuff, all of what he's trying to communicate with these character designs, and how different it was than I pictured the characters. But, you know, he's just a fantastic artist, and you know, obviously very influential and very important. And so it's very cool, to see his stuff. And we'll put some links to his character designs as well in the show notes, for us here. But, yeah, so that's a little bit of an overview of Dragon Quest, and, you know, by all means, you know, if this is something that interests you, the mobile version is very good. You can get it on all sorts of platforms now, but I definitely would actually suggest one of the updated versions and not the original NES one. The NES one is a blast, but the level grinding in it, if you're not ready for it, can just be overwhelming. It's like, yeah, you do something and then you spend hours level grinding, and then you do something and you spend hours level grinding. It's kind of intense, and the updated versions really, really shorten that time period, so it moves very, very quickly in the game. You could get the really kind of condensed version of the game, which is really great.
You said you can get that on mobile, right?
Yeah. And last time when I bought it, it was, I mean, I can't remember. It was less than $5. It was very cheap app, and it was a very good port. Right.
Worth your money.
Well, I think so.
After our listeners sign up for our Patreon.
Right.
Then they can spend their money.
Yes. Well, you know, if you sign up for our Patreon and also buy the app, then we will let you have the app for free after you pay for it.
Oh, that's a deal. That's a deal.
That's on our $10 a month level, though. Oh, you know what? It looks like we actually have a call. Drum's not here, and so let me.
Can you do it? Do you know how to answer?
Well, I know how to answer. Yes, I know how to answer the phone. I think I'm actually going to have to put you on hold though to do it. But
Okay.
oh, let me check the caller ID. Oh, yeah. Yeah, caller ID. This is Princess Gwalen. I didn't tell you this.
Wait, did you say princess?
Yeah. So
Is she single?
this weekend I didn't tell you this yet, but and yes, she's most definitely single. And trust me, man, you don't want any of that. I
don't know, dude. I
was traveling. You know, I had a gig up north, and so I was traveling, and I went to this cave, and I got lost in the cave, and I ended up finding this woman there. Like, she says she was locked in. She said she was locked in a cage. The door was open, like it was unlocked. And she says that there was dragon guarding her. I saw no dragon. Maybe
it's like a metaphorical.
Yeah, and so she has been pestering me ever since, saying that I'm like the hero of legend. And so I tell you what, let me take this call. Just hold for a second. Don't.
Okay. I'm excited. I'm gonna hold. I'm gonna listen though.
If it comes up, I'll put in a good word for you. But just trust me. That's.
No. Let me be the judge.
Okay. All right. Hold on one second.
Okay. I'm excited.
Hey, Gwelen, I don't remember telling you that I do this broadcast or my phone number.
Well, I found your phone number anyway because I love you and
yeah, I thought we talked about that.
Well, heed my voice, hero. For this is Gwalen, and I love thee.
I knew it was Gwalen.
But this is Gwalen.
Yes.
You rescued me from the dungeon, from the cave, and the green dragon.
Well, technically there was no dragon there, and
I'm pretty sure there was a dragon there. I was stuck down there for a long time.
I got lost in a cave, and happened upon a door, and opened the door, which was not even locked, which maybe suggests to me that like somebody had already come and killed the dragon and met you and left you there.
I don't think so. Don't you remember carrying me across the swamp?
Well, yeah, you made me do that.
Yeah. Do you remember raising your experience points?
It's been a long time since I raised experience points. I'm not really a fighter. See, I'm more of a lover. No, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that.
I love thee too. Insert name here.
My name is Kai. You know my name is Kai. Why am I telling you my name? Oh.
I love the insert name here. I mean, Kai. I love thee, Kai.
Have you been practicing this for like 13 years or so?
Well, I was down there for an awfully long time.
Yeah.
And I've been waiting for your call for an awfully long time too. Why haven't you called me?
Well, we discussed that. We discussed that when we got back to your home, and I talked to your father, who was...
Yeah, well, don't bring my father into this.
He was oddly unconcerned with
my father
everything.
Sent you out on a quest to stop the Dragon Lord,
No.
but didn't apparently even care whether or not he got his daughter out of a freaking dungeon.
I am barely a level 3 bard. That me going out on a quest, that's not really what I do. I travel.
I know. To reach the next level, thou must raise thy experience points by 341. I'm aware of that.
Yeah, that number's probably going to sit still for a while. I mostly go to town. I play my piano. I sing my little song, and that's pretty much it. That's kind of the life I've chosen for myself. And
well, when are you coming back to the castle so we can get married?
No, that's not happening. That's not a thing. That's not a thing that's going to happen.
But we've been betrothed ever since you walked me across the swamp.
That's not...
In my culture, when you pick up a girl and carry her across the swamp, that's basically the first stage of the wedding ceremony. So basically we're half married already.
Does anyone in your culture agree with that? Or Did you just make that up to?
No, that's how we've been doing it for a while.
Okay.
You must.
All right. No, I'm already engaged. See, and I told you this. You know this, to wonderful elf girl, Anla.
Oh, that tramp? Are you kidding me? You gotta let her go, buddy. We are betrothed.
You cannot. That's my fiance you're talking about. That's not
Need
right.
my voice, hero, for this is Gwaylin. You gotta drop that hussy, and you gotta finish what you started, mister.
I started engaged with her. That's not, I mean, you complained in the swamp that your shoes were getting stuck in the muck, and so I finally gave up because you kept pestering me about.
This is the way it's always meant to be. I was supposed to stay in that swamp. Well, I mean, in the cave for like 13 freaking years with no company but this big, stupid green dragon waiting for the promised dragon warrior to come and take me out of there. And then he was going to carry me across the swamp, which you did, I might add. And then we were going to go back and get married. So are you going to get married or what?
Now, let me ask you, is this an actual prophecy or is this what they told you when they locked you in the cave?
I'm not actually certain about that. I'll have to get back to you on that.
Okay, that actually might explain a lot.
Listen, we don't seem to be getting much done here. Why don't I just come down?
No. I'm working right now. I'm working. You know, you got to respect a man's work.
Well, I know where you are because from where thou art now, my castle lies 154 to the north and 345 to the east. I love the insert name here. I mean, Kai.
That's not creepy at all. That's normal. That's normal what you just said.
Heed my voice, hero, for this is Gwaylin. I'm just going to hop down there. I'm just going to get one of my dad's guys to just take me across the swamp and come down to where you're at, okay? So, hey.
How are they going to take you across the swamp? They didn't even bother picking you up from the cave.
Hang on a second, my love. All of you get your boots on. We're going across the swamp. Yeah, now. I got to go down to the radio station. It's 154 to the south and 345 to the west from where I am now.
Oh gosh. Right, I'm really busy. This is not a good time. This is not a good time.
I'm gonna get down there. We're gonna talk about this.
We've already talked about it. We resolved it already.
You're gonna dump that hussy because you must.
No. I'm going to get married later this year to Anla, to not you.
No.
But Anla,
you must.
No.
You understand this, right? But you must.
No, you keep using that word. I don't think you know what it means.
But you must.
No.
I love the insert, Kai.
Thank you, but we've gone through this, and it's just not going to work out. It's
you must.
We're from different cultures.
Have a conversation with me unless you agree to what I'm saying. So are you going to marry me or not?
We're from different cultures. We're
culture schmaltzer. I love thee, Kai. All right, I'm just going to come on down there.
No.
Act together?
Bartholomew, you just stay where you are and
I'll
keep
see you in
drinking.
just a second. It's okay. You stay there. We'll figure this out, honey. Bye.
No. Let's not do that. Where's she gone? Hey, man, are you there?
Yeah.
So, did you want her phone number?
I don't usually say this, man, but I'm good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Can we just leave it like that?
Yeah, I think so. And we're running a little over, so let's bring the show to a close right there. Please do tune in next time. Please do take some time to share us with friends. We really do appreciate that. I have no idea what I was about to say from there, but
we depend on our listeners to share our bold forays into the digital quantum. Okay, I don't either.
Right. Well, as long as you're sharing it, dear listener, then we don't have to spend any money on advertisement, as I think is the important point there.
Exactly. Thank you. That's perfect.
Yeah, but. In any case, we do, of course, thank you for being here. You can check out our show notes, which will include some art from Toriyama, as well as some other links, including link to our Patreon page and such, over at technofuckboy.com/32. That's the number 32 for episode 32. And we will see you next week with some more Dragon Quest. Well, Steven and I know what we're doing next week, and we just want to say, I don't think it's possible for you to be disappointed in what's going to happen. I think this is going to be perhaps the coolest episode we've ever done.
Perhaps.
But
probably.
Yeah. So you definitely want to be here for that. So
tune in.
We will.
Next week.
Yes. And we'll see you then. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Man.
The Retro Zoo Super Show is brought to you by the Techno Funk Boy. Follow us on Twitter at Techno Funk Boy, on Facebook at the Techno Funk Boy, and sign up for our email list at technofunkboy.com. Also look for us on Spotify, iTunes, and Amazon for music. If you are so inclined, please leave us a 5-star rating and review on your favorite podcast catcher. If you are not so inclined, you are obviously some sort of villain trying to conquer the world. Unowned music and gameplay clips are used for educational and critical purposes. Thank you for listening, keep gaming, and once you have responsibilities that need to be done at this time, then you can game later.